The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.
It is the Morning Sports Desk. Happy Monday, the 4th of November. CJ Baumgartner with Corey Tackman. Corey, a lot has happened on our local sports scene since we last talked. Staples-Motley football getting to the state tournament for the first time since 2004. Parker's Prairie getting back to the state football tournament since way back in 2023. And Sebeka volleyball, of course, winning their section matchup against Pine River Bacchus, and they have their first round matchup. Corey, the brackets for the state tournament were released over the weekend in volleyball and football. Let's start with volleyball because you're going down to cover Sebeka later in the week. What the heck's going on? Give us the lowdown.
Trojans, you may remember back about a decade ago, went to 3 straight section championships in 2014, 15, and 16. They went to the state tournament in 2015 in that middle year of that section tournament run. You may remember that year also, Verndale out of the Park Region Conference made the state volleyball tournament. Those two teams actually played each other in the Consolation Championship. So the Trojans back at the state tournament for the first time since 2015. They earned themselves the 8th seed in this Class A state volleyball tournament. They'll play at the XL Energy Center Thursday night, 5 o'clock, against top-seeded Mayer Lutheran. No surprise here. I mean, if I would have had you guess, CJ, and who you thought the number 1 team in Class A state volleyball would be, you would have been a fool not to guess Mayer Lutheran or the 2 seed Minneota, because they're always the 1 and 2 seed. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're always good.
And Mayer Lutheran's the top seed. They'll take on the 8 seed Sebeka on the same side of that bracket. The 4 seed is West Central area, taking on the 5 seed Kittson County Central. And then, of course, this is important to remember, they did seed this year 1 through 8. The 2 seed is Minneota, taking on the 7 seed Ely. And the 3 seed is New Life Academy out of Woodbury, taking on the 6 seed Fillmore Central. And if it wasn't going to be Fillmore Central, it would have been Mabel Canton out of section, what would that be? Section 1 down in southeastern Minnesota. So congratulations again, the Trojans back at it at the state tournament for the first time since 2015. They're the 8th seed. They get Mayer Lutheran Thursday night, 5 o'clock or thereabouts. Things, potentially could be a little later because of how the state volleyball tournament works. There will be 4A games and 3A games, whatever. There's just a lot that happens at the state volleyball tournament. But good luck to the Trojans. We will have coverage of that on Thursday evening on KWAD. What is that? 101.7 FM and AM 920 KWAD Thursday night. Good luck, Sebeka. As a quick preview, by the way, I've got an interview set up with Trojans head coach Becca Pouliou to talk about the season, to talk about maybe that 2015 year, and talk about the upcoming state tournament trip. That coming in a future Morning Sports Desk as this week rolls along.
That's what we in the broadcasting business, Corey, call a tease.
Boom.
A couple things, by the way. Also listen online at WadenaRadio.com/KWAD. And another thing, this is the interesting part, because I believe this is the first year they've done this now, that the state volleyball tournament is seeded 1 through 8. That's a new wrinkle. Before it was 1 through 5 and random draw and yada, yada, yada. I do like it this way. I think we're both in agreement on that. This needs to be 1 through 8. Random draws, just gyp somebody. And I get it. You want to save somebody I get it. You want to avoid a little bit of criticism of 1 through 8. Nobody wants to come into a tournament being the 8th seed. I get that. But also, people are going to think what they're going to think anyways. You might as well just get out and own it and put in the high school league's view, the best matchups that they can put out there. This is a good move on the high school league. I'm glad they did that. A football change that we'll talk about in a second with the football matchups, but I'm guessing you're in agreement on that one, Corey.
Well, I like it for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons is for the first point you mentioned, I agree with. I have been to too many state tournaments now where teams from the same conference play each other in the first round. And If it's going to be a random draw, then you've determined that the matchups don't actually matter.
Right.
So redraw them. So a team from Bertha Hewitt Verndale baseball doesn't have to play New York Mills, a team that they play and kids that they play against 6 times during the school year. That's just baseball. That just includes baseball and summer baseball. It doesn't include all the times they play against each other and see each other in other sports. So if you had determined that the matchups are random and it doesn't matter, then then they should have just clicked the refresh button and redraw them again. What I like about this now is I actually think it can take some of the arguments and complaints away of you're not going to, if 2 teams from the same conference are going to play each other now, it's really straightforward. Well, they're seated this way. I like that you can remove some of that conversation. And then this is most important, I think, is if you are a 6, a 7, an 8 seed, now you got chalkboard material. This is BS. We are not the 8, right. Now we get to show people what we're actually made of here and prove some people wrong. I like all of this, and I personally don't think it's terribly offensive to be ranked as the 8th best team in the state.
Right, exactly.
Use it as fodder if I were a coach.
Right, exactly, as you should. That's just as a coach, you should always find a way to make your team feel like the underdogs. That's just coaching 101.
Yes.
But and maybe this is a good transition into football here, Corey. Football is a little bit different because just for travel reasons, you're not going to make Climax Fisher go down to Cleveland and play. You're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
For a 1 game on a Thursday night, you're just not going to do that. And I respect it. 1 through 4, though, in the North, 1 through 4 in the South. That's how things are seeded. And of course, I got to refresh my page here on the state tournament for football. But for Parker's Prairie, they end up, again, of course, just the internet deciding to.
I got you. That's fine.
Yeah, let's go into brackets, Corey. Let's go into brackets. What are we looking at for Class A?
On the North, where the Parker's Prairie Panthers find themselves, they are the 4 seed of the 4 North teams. So they will take on top seeded Upsala-Swanville area, and they get to go all the way to Rockridge to play, which of course Rockridge is CJ, what year, maybe 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's definitely 3. And if it's 3, it's that's old. It's within the last 3 years, because I remember I used to work at the TV station in Duluth. I remember doing stories on the groundbreaking of that school, and that was 2020, summer 2020.
Yep. So, and that's Virginia and Eveleth, the
bitter rivals.
Yes, and they've turned it into something pretty special over there, not the least of which is hosting an opening quarterfinal game of the state football tournament. So that's a 6:00 kickoff on Thursday night. CJ, you got to obviously call the Parker's Prairie game, the section championship game at the Fargo Dome the other afternoon. But before it, you got to see Upsala-Swanville area play. Probably in for some fireworks on that Thursday night with those 2 teams.
Look, I had a chance to see Upsala-Swanville play Belgrade Bruton-El Rosa in that 4A semifinal game. I got at the Fargo Dome. I got to the Dome at halftime in that game. It was 6-6. I picked the good half to watch because it ended 28-22 or somewhere along those lines. Upsala-Swanville came away with the victory. But man, those 2 teams were punched each other in the mouth for 48 straight minutes.
Yeah.
Upsala-Swanville area has always been a good football program. Just as long as I've heard of high school football, Upsala-Swanville's name has been in consideration of a good football program. 100%, that they would be ranked number 1 in the North. Obviously, number 1 in the South is Minnesota. So, they're just going to be what they're going to be there. It's hard to tell who is the true number 1 coming into this, but they're up there. That is a good football team. They can throw it. They can run it. That is going to be an interesting matchup for Parker's Prairie. We'll talk about that more kind of later in the week as we get closer, but that is who they drew. A 6:00 kickoff at Rock Ridge High School in Virginia, brand new 1,200 seat turfed facility. in between Virginia and Eveleth there. I think Virginia maybe is technically the zip code where it's under, but that's going to be a good one. We're going to have the call on the Superstation K106, 105.9 FM, also streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K106 mobile app, 5:40 pregame, 6 o'clock kickoff. Let's do this thing, huh? Let's go. State football. State football. And I think if it works out, Corey, in the 2A state football tournament, first of all, the number 1 seeded in the North Kimball area is going to be hosting Moose Lake Willow River at Brainerd High School. And Barnesville is the 2 seed, and they're going to play the 3-seeded Staples-Motley Cardinals at St. Cloud Tech High School. Tyler Grunwald and Zeke Foreman are going to be on the coverage there. I call them the Staples-Motley crew, and they are expected to do play-by-play for that one. 7 o'clock kickoff. That's going to be on 98.5 FM and AM 1430 KNSP, The Fan. It's going to be that's going to be a good one. Staples-Motley had a 36-30 win over an Osaka Silver Streak football team. That was a good squad despite what the record indicated. So Staples-Motley, their first trip to the state tournament in 20 years. Congratulations, you get Barnesville.
Do you know how? Yeah, right. Do you know how they came up with the seedings, CJ?
Good question. I don't know if that was based on QRF. I don't know if it's.
Well, I'm going through the QRF right now.
Okay.
And I just went through the northern half. The northern half of Class A anyway follows the QRF, but the southern half, Minneota's the top seed, and they are ranked 5th in the QRF with a 55.6. And Goodhue is the second ranked team in the South, and they're 4th in the QRF with a 59.5. So they're a full 4 points better than Minneota, but went I guess a different way in the overall seeding. So I'll be interested. I haven't looked deep enough into this to actually know the answer. I was just wondering if you had yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. And back in the day, I mean, they wouldn't necessarily do the 1 seed based off of QRF either. So I guess I'm sure it goes into consideration.
Everything else, they seed the section tournaments based on QRF and nothing else.
Right. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a committee. They have to have something. So I guess I don't know. We'll have to do a morning sports desk investigation.
Right.
MSD investigates. This is an eyeglass. This is like a magnifying glass, by the way.
Oh, right.
Yeah. How could you not tell? Anyway, that's going to be a good one. 7 o'clock kickoff from St. Cloud Tech High School. Tyler and Zeke will have coverage of that game Thursday night. Okay. That's kind of our quick little review. We're going to try and get some interviews with some of these coaches throughout the week and try and talk. I believe we're going to get one with Coach Potter as well with Staples-Motley. And coaches are busy. They're getting their weeks ready. They have a million other things than to talk to us, but we hope to get Coach Johnson on of Parker's Prairie as well later in the week and kind of get some previews for those games as they come up. But Corey, first of all, this doesn't need any breakdown, but just feels good to beat Brett Bielema, doesn't it?
Where does he rank on the Mount Rushmore of hated? I'll be honest, I forgot about Brett Bielema for a moment, and then I turned the game on Saturday, and I was like, oh, I hate that guy. I sports hate Brett Bielema with kind of all my heart. Like I think I hate him at least as much, if not more, than Sean Payton right now.
See, well, right now, yes, because Sean Payton coaches in the AFC. And the Saints are bad now. Drew Brees is retired. Sean Payton's in the AFC, and the Broncos they're going to never beat Patrick Mahomes. So, whatever.
I'm never going to like that smug jerk.
No. But, in terms of, Brett Bielema has more chance to impact what your favorite Minnesota team is doing than Sean Payton does. So, I could see that logic there. Anyway, the Gophers are now 1-10 versus Brett Bielema after beating the 24th ranked Illini. Nice big boy win for the Gophers there. And they now get the rematch versus Ethan Kaliak-Madison Rutgers University on Saturday.
The State University of New Jersey.
Oh, interesting.
Sounds private, doesn't it? It isn't. It's the State University.
I mean, it is New Jersey, so can we really expect good things to come from there?
Well, I mean, what would the University of New Jersey just sounds?
UNJ, Unge.
Unge.
Go Unge.
Doesn't, you don't like that.
No.
So probably going by Rutgers is the right move.
That's the right move. Okay. All right. I got a thing in about 7 minutes, Corey. So let's use the next 5-ish to talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
It's not the prettiest win when you look at the score and you kind of watch through the game. But if you kind of look at it deeper, the Vikings defense did not allow the Colts to get into the red zone at all. They had 0 plays from the red zone.
Yep.
That was a Sam Darnold fumble, scoop and score that should have been a penalty, but wasn't a penalty. That was the one touchdown for Indianapolis. The Vikings went into half down 7-0. Will Reichert missed a 53-yarder, kind of injured his quad on the kick. So then he missed a chip shot and just overall was not really reliable for kicking field goals the rest of the night. So you go into, like, the score should have looked different going into half based on the strip sack and the kicker getting injured and whatever. This all is to say the Vikings defense was dominant against a bad Colts offense. Joe Flacco looked like a 48-year-old. And the Vikings, outside of the fumble, but then 2 bad Sam Darnold interceptions, they outgained and out first down the Colts by a lot. This is you gotta, it's not, if you subtract all the bad things, they were actually really good. This is the Vikings played sloppy and still won pretty handily. So I think you got the win, move on, get ready for a couple bad teams now in Tennessee and Chicago on the way.
I think you could argue that the Vikings played well in this game.
Right.
And if you look at just game stats, right? The Vikings led in every single important category. Time of possession, first downs, total yards, passing yards, rushing yards. They had the 4 penalty advantage. Colts had 7, the Vikings had 3. The Vikings had more total return yards. They had more total plays. They had more yards per play. But then the important one, and why it's important, you cannot do this. The Vikings had more total turnovers than Indianapolis. It is the only reason this game was close. It's the only reason it felt weird, even from the beginning. The Vikings dominated that football game. They turned the ball over 3 times. One of those times was an interception in the end zone, which you would assume was probably going to be at least 3 points, because up until that point, Riker wasn't hurt. He hadn't missed a kick yet. He was probably going to bang one through.
I mean, he made PATs from that distance, so he was going to put it in.
So we're talking about you just can't, you cannot turn the ball over.
Darnold pass would have been intercepted twice, by the way.
Sure, fine. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But you can't turn the ball over. It's that simple. If you don't turn the ball over, if they turn the ball over even twice, the score is even farther apart. If they turn over, if they don't turn the ball over once, that's a 40-13 football game.
Yeah. They take care of business. They do what they need to do. Move on. The Darnold interceptions, you're just going to ride the roller coaster of Sam Darnold, because he also made some big throws in the end. The last thing I'm going to say about this game, Corey, because I think we're in agreement on this. You know what? I've been a hater. I've been it all season long, even the last couple of years. All right, props, KOC. You got me. The trick play worked. 3rd and 13. They threw it to Jefferson on the side. Looked like he was going to pass downfield like he always does. Flips it back over to, I believe it was Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, one of the two, and they run it for 14 yards and they get a first down. All right, you got me. They ended up punting. It didn't matter in the long run, but okay. All right, you got it.
No. Just stick to your guns for once in your life, huh? Show a little backbone, would you? I was waiting I was staring at my phone. I even looked at my wife and said, CJ's going to text me. I know he is. I knew without beyond a shadow of a doubt that CJ was going to text and say, KOC just can't help himself. I knew that text was coming. So stick to your guns. Did you like it or did you not?
It worked. So you know what? I can't not hate it. I think here's the thing. Here's my logic on this. I think if you call a trick play on a 3rd and 13 where you're going to punt it anyways, yeah, fine. Because if it doesn't work, do I like calling a trick play when you were driving on the Lions and it was to win the game? Maybe that's not the situation. Call it. But
look at you preaching. Judge the results. Don't judge the process. Don't judge the results. And then you just gave 2 examples of the results not working or working.
I'm saying the situation you call them in. I'm not saying results. I'm saying the situation you called them in is a lot better. I will say, and this is going to be you have source, trust me, bro, on this. I really liked the Vikings passing on that 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal, whatever it was. They had proven they could run the ball, and Indianapolis was preparing for the run, hard play action. And I don't like it just because it's a pass, but because he's rolling out, he can dump that off to whoever was running right at the line of scrimmage, or he could have thrown it to Oliver, or he could have just threw it out of bounds, or he could have just ran and felt like fallen on the ground, and you still would have had the clock tick or made him burn the timeout. So I will say that I like the call to pass. That's not a hindsight thing, but I have no way of justifying. I have no way of proving that to anybody. So, just trust me.
All right. But the next time they do something that doesn't work, I better not hear from you.
Oh, you'll hear from me. It'll happen. This has been the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 4th of November. Check you next.
The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.